for a very long time. Ever since I started being able to think and thinking of my very first memories that I had in childhood, I was playing Zelda Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo N64, as well as Cruisin' USA, an old racing game for the Nintendo 64, with that game still had booth babes swinging their flags right before the race started. A very old school game. Let's go! Mortal Kombat trilogy and being spooked by the startup music and having a huge crush on one of the characters in the video game. And they have been a big part of my life. What has made me very melancholic and sad recently is that I really stopped touching any Nintendo product for a long time. And that kind of made me wondering and think back and ask myself the question, what has made me stop playing Nintendo games, even though they have been literally a part of my life ever since the day I had my first memory. For context, I have the original, yes, the Wii U. I was a huge fan of the Wii U, despite of reports of the console flopping. It is one of my favorite Nintendo consoles. This is the special edition Zelda the Wind Waker Wii U. Here is the console itself. It's a little bit dusty because it is now kind of a more of a piece of memorabilia than something I really use on a daily basis, but it is still a big place in my heart. I have the original Nintendo 3DS XL as well as the regular Nintendo 3DS. I bought the second Nintendo 3DS as soon as I found out that manufacturing for the Nintendo 3DS stopped. So I bought this one to preserve the console. In my opinion, the last good handheld. I have the classic Nintendo Switch, but I still have the console, and I've probably never updated ever since I got it. It's probably on a version that is great for homebrewing. I haven't checked because I haven't used it. This one actually was a beautiful birthday gift from my mom. A statue of Zelda from Breath of the Wild. It is also a light-up version. It is huge and beautiful. Now, I also have a huge box of Nintendo games ranging back to the original Game Boy. I have several Game Boy games, I have several Nintendo DS games, several 3DS games, games for the Wii U, games for the Switch, and the list goes on and on and on. I have played on the SNES, the NES, a Nintendo 64, the GameCube, the Wii U, the classic Game Boys, the Game Boy Advance, the Nintendo Switch, original Nintendo DS, and the Nintendo DS Lite. DS Lite? Oh, the DSi? Yeah, I remember the DSi. The 3DS as well as the new 3DS, the 3DS XL. I have played all of these platforms. Only Switch I have not played is the new Switch 2. Now, all of these consoles that I listed, I have either owned, partially owned, or played at a neighbor's house or at a retro gaming console event. I have participated in Mario Kart tournaments. I think I've won one of those local tournaments. I am an avid fan of Animal Crossing. I have no clue how much hours I have racked up on any given Animal Crossing. I'm also a fan of emulating. I have an emulator on my PC. I have several Nintendo 64 games on there. The list goes on and on and on and on. So nobody can accuse me of being a fake Nintendo fan. I even have been to the original Nintendo Zelda Symphony Orchestra here in Zurich back in 2015. That was 11 years ago. I remember when I got those tickets for my birthday, I almost shit my pants. It was the most beautiful experience ever, and that was the first time I almost cried at a symphony orchestra. My mom, she actually went with me, and it was a beautiful experience for her as well. Nintendo has a big place in my heart, and it always has had a big place in my heart. Going back to the question of why I have really stopped touching any Nintendo game whatsoever, and the really heartbreaking sort of feeling I connect to that has been on my mind for these last couple of months actually, and I've been really questioning myself as to why that is. I remember it started on September 18th, 2018, when Nintendo released Switch Online. That is when Nintendo started to make their online services subscription-based. I remember buying that subscription once or twice and then never again. And there's some type of resistance I felt after I bought my subscription for Nintendo Switch Online. It just felt forced to me. I felt this pressure to play as much as possible just so I can gain as much as possible from the subscription I have bought. And as soon as I felt resistance connecting to something and like this sort of forced way to get as much playtime as possible out of my subscription, that sort of pressure really started to connect a negative connotation in my mind to play video games. Now, that was a feeling that I did not like. That was something that put a lot of pressure on me, more pressure than I maybe want to admit, but that is one of the more pivoting moments as to where I really stopped playing anything in regards to Nintendo games. Now, what really took the cake for me as to where I really stopped supporting Nintendo as a company overall, and just for context, prior to this date, according to Google Gemini, and also according to my memory, is that online multiplayer on Nintendo Switch and Wii U and 3DS was completely free. Also, the standard online like cloud saves and the increasing digitization of game titles, the increasing pressure to have your games online only rather than in physical form, that really turned me off, and that kind of took away the fun for me when it came to video games. Because a huge part for me when it comes to video games, a huge part of the fun when it comes to video games is owning the physical cartridges, looking at them, reading through the manual that comes with the game. That just all quickly disappeared, and that took a huge amount of fun kind of away from me, which also made me quite sad over time. A huge shout out that I want to make is to the Consumer Rights Wiki. That's consumerrights.wiki. This is a wiki platform that is a dedicated repository for anti-consumer practices. It has also documented practices in regards to Nintendo. Nintendo has an extensive history against user, hardware, and software freedoms. They've been actively suing creators of emulators as well as websites that archive ROMs for retro Nintendo games. And Nintendo has had a history of not being able to archive those games properly. So it was kind of in the hands of dedicated Nintendo fans to archive retro titles in the best way possible. Now, as a company, if you're not able to preserve video game history, pivoting video game history yourself, why would you make it impossible for the very people that have made you the company that you are today? There are also several titles that have been pulled from the Nintendo eShop. That's the platform where Nintendo sells their online titles. There's also history of Nintendo pulling game titles from the Nintendo eShop, as well as the Nintendo eShop closing down completely for the 3DS. This is a snippet from the consumerrights.wiki. In May 2025, Nintendo updated their privacy policy to reserve the company the right to remotely disable consoles owned by consumers if it detects modified hardware or software attempting to run on the system. For me personally, that was just the nail in a coffin in which I felt this sort of pressure connected and related to something that I love to do. That's a negative connotation to something that is supposed to be fun for me. Have you felt a similar way? Have you felt a sort of resistance to playing video games? Have you felt a sort of pressure? For me, it just took away a big chunk of the fun that I felt back when Nintendo services were not subscription-based. What do you think? Do you feel a similar way? Have you found an alternative or maybe a mental way to cope with this? For me, I have not really found any alternatives, especially because I feel I'm missing out on the many big titles that have been released for the Switch 2, which makes me kind of feel even worse because there have been titles released that I've been excited for a long time, but I cannot bring myself to play them whatsoever because I do not want to support the system that Nintendo has built that is very anti-gamer and very anti-consumer. It kind of goes against my principles as a human being to continue to play Nintendo video games. Have you found an alternative for that? Please let me know in the comments below. I appreciate it, and I hope you will stay for the next topic. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I really miss Nintendo games. I just cannot bring myself to play them. I just cannot bring myself to pay a subscription to play them. Because for most of my life, I was able to play them for free online. I bought the titles. I was excited to go home and try them. And now I just feel this huge resistance. If you feel the same way, please let me know. Bye!